So most of the videos on Valuetainment are directed to entrepreneurs, but today I want to talk to the employees who also follow Valuetainment, but you're thinking about maybe one day becoming an entrepreneur, you just don't know what to do next. Listen, there's 10 things I want you to be doing before thinking about entrepreneurship. I remember when I worked at Bally Total Fitness and I had a job and it was comfortable and I had a salary and it was good for me. And I wanted to become a business owner. I wanted to become an entrepreneur, but there's a few things that I had to do before I made that decision. I'm going to cover with you here today. And by the way, I want you to know it ain't for everybody. So when I go through it, you may say, I can't do that. I can't do this. Well, maybe it ain't for you. So let me get right into it here. 10 things. Number one, you got to learn how to self-motivate. I get too many messages, man, that people tell me, how do you motivate yourself? Can you say, actually, I get Snapchat messages. Mario, people send me messages saying, Pat, can you give me a motivational content today for me to get motivated? Like, if you don't know how to self-motivate yourself, cross this thing out. If you do not know how to self-motivate yourself and get yourself fired up like this, business isn't for you. Because in a world of business, you're alone. There's not going to be somebody telling you you're amazing. There's going to be actually people on the complete opposite side saying how horrible you are, constantly finding your leaks. Think about it this way here, so this maybe makes sense to you. Any athlete that first gets into the league, everybody picks at him. He doesn't know how to play defense. He doesn't know how to do this. It takes 6, 7, 8 years until they maybe win a championship. Then they get off their back. Same as becoming an entrepreneur. You got to learn to keep yourself tough. You got to learn how to play hard. You got to learn how to stay motivated and get your people motivated. So you got to learn how to self-motivate before you become an entrepreneur. Number two, save, save, save. Save your money. I saved my money when I worked at Bally's. I was working at Bally's, but I was saving that money. I was setting aside the money because I knew long term I was going to be in sales. I didn't know what I was going to sell, and I didn't know if I was going to stay as an employee forever because I wanted to figure out a way to make more money. I didn't know sales was it, but I did know that I needed my money in case if I went fully commissioned, what am I going to do if I go fully commissioned? Save, save, save. Number three, learn how to sell. Today we had an entrepreneur that came here. He may be in the next vlog that we'll do. I don't know, Paul, if you're going to put him on there or not. We'll figure it out. But he came today. His idea was he has an app that he's designing that's for what? That's for house cleaning. So, for instance, I'm in Houston. I want a house cleaner to come to my house tomorrow to clean it up. I get on there. I book them 4 hours. My house is 2,000 square feet. The pricing is going to be 120 bucks. And somebody just comes to my house. That's what he's designing. He comes here. Mario invites him to come to the office. He's flabbergasted. He's got 5 to 10 minutes with us, and he speaks for 10 minutes. You know what I asked him? I asked him the following question. Do you know how to sell? He says, I do. I said, I'm telling you, you don't know how to sell. He says, what do you mean? I said, 10 minutes you're here, you haven't asked a single question yet. You're just talking. So your business is not going to work if you don't know how to sell. You got to learn how to sell. So as an entrepreneur, if you're an employee right now, you're working wherever you're working at, if you don't learn how to sell, what do you think happens? All of a sudden you become an entrepreneur, you learn how to sell? You got to learn how to sell. So before you make that plunge of becoming an entrepreneur full-time, learn how to sell. Number four, work for one. Yeah, work for one. Work under an entrepreneur. Work closely with a CEO. Shadow one. See what they do. See what's different about them. And I'm talking about one that's today an entrepreneur. I hear a lot of people that say, you know, I work for a 72-year-old very successful entrepreneur who made a lot of his money, but he golfs every day. You don't think that's not who you want to work with. You want to work with the entrepreneur that is starving, but he's on his way up so you can learn from him. I remember one time a guy called me. His name was Brian. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I pick up the call. He says, I have a shot at working with this guy, and this guy. Who do you think I should be working with? You know what I told him? I said, me. He said, come on, Patrick, why you? I said, 100% me. He says, tell me why. I said, do you want to work with somebody that tells you stories on what they used to do when they worked 20 years ago? Or do you want to work with somebody that's doing it today? They're working 80, 100 hours a week because they're in the hunt. If they don't, they're going to be out of business. I'm that guy. You should be working directly with me. Week later, we had a meeting at P.F. Chang's. They started working with us. Why? Because that's how you learn the most. Number five, network, build contacts, relationships. Whatever you're doing, everything to you is just relationship, 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 relationship. We just had a call right now with a guy that may also be on the vlog. I just got back from Half Moon Bay. I was at Half Moon Bay at an AIG event this past week. That was a very big event. AIG just got a new CEO and a lot of other things that we had to have a meeting with over there. When I came back, he's talking about he wants to invest. It's a big number that he wants to invest. We're not talking $5 million. We're talking a lot of money that they want to invest. And we're having this conversation together. And as we're having a conversation together, Tom and I start talking. This whole thing, relationship, came from 15 different contacts led to this. Okay? So network, build contacts. You never know who's going to introduce you to it. People send me a message and they say, how do I find an investor, Patrick? How? What do you mean, how do you find an investor? If you're a rookie entrepreneur, make a list of everybody you know today and then spread them out. And by the way, that could be a whole different episode. Spread them out. Who knows who? 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 And then from there, contacts. So as you're starting as an employee, you want to become an entrepreneur, that decision you want to make build a lot of contacts. Number 6, work 80 hours a week for 12 to 24 months and see if you can do it or not. While I worked at Bally's, I worked 80 hours every single week as an employee, and they only paid me for, $6 an hour, or $7 an hour, or $5 an hour, whatever the number was, because it was commissions. But I worked 80, 90 hours per week. I was at the gym from morning till night. Every day I was at the gym. You know why? Because I wanted to see if I had what it takes to work. Because if you don't know how to work 80 hours a week as an employee, you are definitely not going to be making it as an entrepreneur. If you go full-time and you want to make a business, you're going to be required to work regularly. I think a lot of times people have this idea that you become an entrepreneur because when you become an entrepreneur, you're going to become a millionaire and all this other stuff. And don't get me wrong, that eventually happens. I mean, it took me a few years, and then it happens, and you have the money and the lifestyle, all this other stuff. But you go into becoming an entrepreneur to create something, and there's a risk that constantly that's being taken to want to grow the business. So if you don't know how to work hard and you lose your edge, boom, somebody comes and takes the market away from you because you lost your edge. So if you don't know if you have it, you're right now working 9 to 5, why don't you work 80 hours a week at your job and see what happens? I'm dead serious with you. First of all, you may get some crazy promotions out of nowhere. You may be there and having real direct private conversations with the CEO because the CEO is there and you're having like, my gosh, CEO sees me every night. I leave after him. I come before him. What the hell is going on? Who is this guy? Why is this guy working so hard? Work 80 hours a week for 12 to 24 months to see if you've got it or not. Next, research. Learn how to research and learn fast. Learn how to research. I think this thing about researching, again, that's a whole different thing that we can probably do on how to research something, right? Could be an episode. I think researching is a skill. You got to research who's this connected to, who does this guy know, what's this thing all about, what is this product all about, what is this guy, why did they come out with this, why did this happen, what does this law have to do with this, you got to learn how to research, okay? And you get to the bottom of something like this guy's connected to this guy, now I get why this guy's saying this, and now, oh, this is starting to make sense, and you get the click, I figured out what's going on here. So you got to learn how to research and learn fast. Number 8, build an audience. Back in the days in '99 when I worked at Bally's, there was no Facebook. I think Facebook was, Paul, was Facebook 03 or 04? I want to say February of 04 is when I want to say Facebook was. So there was nothing. MySpace, I think, was 01, 02. I don't know when MySpace was, but there was nothing at Bally's. So there was no way to build an audience. But the way I build an audience, I build it with everybody that was a member at the gym. I build an audience with all the people that worked at different Bally's. I build a relationship there, but build an audience. Build an audience on social media. Build an audience on Snap, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter. Figure out a way to build an audience with your voice. Number 9, as you're going through this and you're making a decision to go here, start becoming self-aware and aligned about what your own strengths and weaknesses are. Like, figure that part out. And you can say, you know what, I never knew I was, like for me, I never knew I was going to be good in sales until I started working at Bally's. I mean, I used to sell at 10 years old. But I really started realizing I can be pretty good at the sales thing, right? And then I started realizing pressure, what happens in pressure. You know, deadlines. When we have numbers we have to hit in sales, we had closeouts on Thursdays. I'm okay with this. there was another guy, one of my managers I work with. He was my boss. He couldn't hack it himself, but he was my boss. Great guy, a sweetheart. One thing I'll never forget about him, he always told me, he says, Pat, you curse too much, because I just got out in the Army, so every other word out of my mouth was a curse word. He said, you got to slow this thing down. I'd be selling and cursing nonstop, so he would always work with me on that. But I remember it was Thursday closeouts, and we haven't hit our numbers yet. He would be panicking. There's a guy named Tony Wilson would call in, and no one wanted to pick up Tony's call, but I would pick up the call. Tony, what's going on? Why are you bothering us? It's not done yet. Let me finish up my day. Can I call you back at midnight? Yes. They didn't want to answer the phone call. Then boom, we would get 2, 3 sales. How? I'd go in the walkway. I'd go in the gym. I'd walk around. I would say, hey, how you doing? How's work? By the way, who do you know right now that's looking for a membership? Where are you from? Why are you working out alone? Why don't you call your friends? Well, let's get them to become a member, man. Who can you call right now can come to the gym? Tell them to come to the gym. I would go through the members that are working out, and I would get them to call their friends to come to the gym, and I'd sell a membership that night, and boom, we would hit our numbers, right? But it was you kind of figuring out how to make that part happen. So you learn your strengths and industries. I liked sales. I liked numbers. I started looking at which industries gave life, good life. Like I saw too many guys in real estate that were still selling in their 30th year and working on Sundays. I saw way too many guys in mortgages that were still selling. I started looking at stocks where, because I was a Series 7 guy, market would go up. It was great. Market would go on. They were afraid of answering the phone calls and all this stuff. I looked at pharmaceutical sales. If you got a good drug and you work with somebody, it was good because the doctors would constantly order. There was so many different things I looked at. And then I realized I like insurance. So I chose insurance. Why? I saw guys 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, good personal life. Kids went to private schools, good life, a lot of money. You know, you had an opportunity to make real good money, like 5 million a year, 10 million a year, some even more than that. So that opportunity was attractive. But you'll learn it here on what you're going to be doing next. And last but not least, 10, death ground. You got to put yourself in situations where your back's against the wall. Let me tell you what that is. Let me tell you what it is, okay? Death ground situations before you become an entrepreneur, because death ground for entrepreneurs, every day, baby, you're on the death ground. Every single day, you are on death ground as an entrepreneur, but even more when you're a startup entrepreneur. So take a deadline. That seems crazy. Go hit it. Say yes and take responsibility for certain projects and go hit it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Take that deadline that no one wants to touch because they're afraid of coming through. I'm at an event and everybody's asking me, what do you think about the transition? Somebody got promoted, somebody came down, and one guy retired. What do you think about this whole move? You know what I said? In front of everybody and in front of the guy that works directly. I said, I want you to go tell him because that's exactly how I feel and he needs to know this. Said, what do you think about the new promotion of this guy? I said, I'm a little concerned. He said, why is that? I said, he plays it too safe. I said, what do you mean he plays it too safe? I said, you see, in this industry, you can get, after 25 years of being in a business, you can get a $300,000 a year salary. You go to a $400,000, $500,000 a year salary. And you play it so safe because you don't want to ruffle any feathers and take any risks, because if you do, you could possibly be fired. Whereas a guy like a Bob Ben-Moshe, former CEO of AIG, that if you go watch some of this guy's interviews, gutsy guy. I've seen this guy in rooms talking, cursing every other word, just a feisty guy that went to the government, asked for $183 billion from the government to save AIG, and then comes back and says, not only am I going to give the taxpayer the money back, but I'm also going to give him interest. And no other company that went and got money from the insurance government did that. He gave the government $183 billion back plus $23 billion of interest, I think 4 years later. Historically, they're considering him one of the best CEOs, if not the best CEO in the financial industry, period, Bob Ben-Moshe. I said, I'm concerned because you're not a death ground guy. You're not a back against the wall type of guy. You're a play it safe type of a guy. That's why he's an employee. You do it like this, boom, you're dead. Hesitation, no hesitation, someone's taking you out. It's just what's going to happen. That's the world of business if you play it safe and if you don't learn to put yourself in a death ground type of situations. Sometimes an investor partner is going to come up to you and says, we need this money to be delivered by this time. we need this product to be delivered by this time. You don't know how to do it. You got to get on the call and figure out a way to get this person to deliver and all this other stuff to get to that point. So 10 things that I want you to do. Then ask yourself, are you ready? Some of you guys may be watching and saying, Pat, I'm afraid of this 80 hours a week thing for 12 to 24 months. Hey, I'm afraid of all these other things that you're talking about. I'm just telling you the truth right now. You want to do it? Do it. You don't want to do it? You don't do it. By the way, 90% of people are not going to do this, what I just talked to you about. If you're watching this as the employee and you're saying, I want to do it, go take up the challenge and update me on the type of progress you're making here on Snapchat. Send me a message at BetDavid19 on Snapchat. Let's make the Snapchat thing a little bit bigger. Send me a message here and tell me about the progress you're making with this year as you're building your business. And last but not least, our friendly pillow here, 1 million subs. If you haven't subbed to Valuetainment yet, click on the button here to subscribe and click on the notification button. Can we make this notification button, Mario, a little bit bigger? Paul, let's make it a little bit bigger, right? Can we do it like this? Click on this alert button right next to subscribe to be one of the first to get the videos every time they come up on Valuetainment. And if you got any questions, thoughts about today's episode, comment on the bottom. And if you got some of your friends that need to watch this as well, share it with them. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.